Assalamu alaikum class. I hope you all are fine. So the topic of the lecture is school health services, part of community health, and it is defined as a branch of preventive medicine which deals with the promotive, preventive, and curative aspects of health in a setting of school. And the basic aim is the prevention, early detection, and correction of the disease in school children. The school health services were started in the 19th century when the nurses and the physicians were hired by schools to examine the children and to identify any local health problems in the school children according to their culture and the resources which were available. Now, the available resources can be in the form of money, material, manpower, and time. So the main objectives of the school health services are number one, the promotion of positive health in school children. Number two, the prevention of disease. Number three, the early diagnosis of any disease and its proper treatment and follow up of the defects or any disease. Number four is the awakening of health consciousness among the children, and number five is the provision of healthful environment in the school. The coordinated school health program, it is an effective system which is designed to connect the health of the students with their education. Now, this coordinated approach to school health, it improves the health of the students and it also improves their capacity to learn how they can improve the health of their families as well. Now, this program is based on a system which holds that all the components of the school health, they must interact, support and reinforce each other to ensure the health of the student. And these 8 components of the coordinated school health are number one, health education, number two, nutrition services, number three are your health services. Number four are your healthy and safe school environment. Number six are your counseling and mental health services. Then are your staff wellness promotion. Then is your parent and community involvement and physical education. Now all these components, they focus and prioritize areas for the most effective and efficient way to meet the health and needs of the young people. Schools in Pakistan are basically divided into two sectors, the government schools and the private sector. Now, the school health service program in the government sector is not very well launched now. As in under the Punjab Health Sector Reform Program after 2000, some pilot projects were introduced by WHO and UNICEF in some districts of Punjab, but even now, no strong policy can be launched so far by the government in the government schools. Now, in the private sector, usually as they have improved their education and other things, the school health services are also improved as they have understood the importance of school health. So, in the private schools, they usually have clinics in which they have a proper team of school medical officer, school health nurse, and the attendants. Now, the coming to the school medical officer, the school medical officer is a proper graduate doctor, and he should be properly trained in the school health services. Now, the duties of a school medical officer are that the school medical officer is basically responsible for the promotive, preventive, and curative components of the school health program. And he should conduct an OPD daily in which routine problems like a headache, common cold or fever or abdominal pain can be treated. Now, in certain cases, if the doctor thinks that he cannot treat these problems, then he should refer those children to the consultants. Now, the school medical officer should also maintain the proper health record of each and every child, and separate registers should be maintained for the high risk and special cases. Now, a proper annual or periodic routine medical inspection should be done by this medical officer at the age of 5 years of age, 9 years of age, 13 and the 17 years of age. And during this medical examination, proper height, weight, chest examination, abdominal and chest measurements, the vision should be tested, and systemic examination of the GIT, respiratory and the cardiovascular system should be done. Now, the immunization record of the students should also be maintained in the registers by the school medical officer. Now, the school medical officer should also hold counseling sessions with the parents and students on the proper nutrition and any other health issues of the students. Now, the health education of the students and their parents and the staff is also important. So, the school medical officer should have these health education sessions with them on a regular basis. Now, the medical officer should have a proper record of what the water supply of the school is, what are the sanitary conveniences in the school, what is the condition of the washrooms, what is the ventilation of the buildings, and many other things which are important for maintaining good environment in the school. Now, the medical officer should also improve his knowledge by attending different medical education seminars, so he upgrades his existing knowledge. So this is all about the school medical officer. Now, the next member of the school health service team is the school health nurse. Now, the school health nurse should be properly qualified in the public health department, and she should have a good personality. Now, the nurse assists the medical officer in planning a medical inspection, and then records the height and the weight of the school child, and helps the medical officer in daily OPD, and maintains the health record of the students as well. Now, the nurse supervises the hygiene of all the school children, particularly the cleanliness of the clothes, their hair, nails, teeth, and also tries to correct any unhygienic habits on the part of the school children. Now, if the medical officer is absent sometimes, the nurse tries to treat the school children for many minor ailments, not the major ones. So these are the basic duties of the school health nurse. Now, the attendant of the school health team usually helps the doctors and the nurses in doing their work, and carries the reports and records from schools to various places and maintains that record. Now, the attendants also maintains the cleanliness of the clinic of the school and reports any insanitation that is in the premises of the school. Now, these are the duties of the school health team. Now, the school clinic should have certain equipment. Now, they should have a weighing scale, a height scale, Snellen's eye testing chart. They should have a BP apparatus. For carrying out examination of the ear, nose, throat, they should have a tongue depressor, a torch, nasal speculum, ear speculum, and they should have a proper sitting area where they can conduct that examination. Now, next is the school clinic pharmacy. Now, the school clinic pharmacy should have the basic medications like painkillers, like Panadols or any antipyretic, antispasmodics, antihistamines or antiemetics. Now, the minor ailments which are treatable in the school, they should have medicines for them. Now, coming to the medical examination of school children, now as I told you before, the medical examination is conducted by this school team on a regular basis. And now the medical inspection should be done properly, and the students should be told before that on suppose after a week or so your examination will be done, and permission should be taken from the parents as well. And the record of individual students should be maintained. Now, each student should have a health card. On the health card, there should be proper brief demographic profile of the student. They should have their immunization record, any important family history or any past history. Now, in the records, they should have a daily OPD register. High risk cases register should also be there, and any referral case register should also be maintained. So these are the basic components or important things which are required in the school health services. The functions of the school health services are many, and they are set according to the local priorities. When you have many resources, then special school health services may be developed. Now, some of the important aspects of the school health service are: number one is the health appraisal. Now, the health appraisal should cover not only the students but also the staff members of the school, like teachers and the school personnel like peons and the attendants as well. Now, the school appraisal, it consists of the periodic physical or the medical examination and observation of the children by the class teachers as well. Now, coming to the periodic medical examination, now as I told you before, when the child is admitted into the school, thorough examination should be done. It includes the general physical examination of the child, the systemic examination of the child, the vision, hearing, and the speech should also be tested. And in some of the books, it's also required that the routine examination of blood and urine and feces should also be carried out. But usually in our country, the urine, blood, and the feces tests are not done, but it is recommended by WHO. Now, when the first examination is done, it should be reported properly in the record of the school, and after that, examination should be done every 4 years. Periodically. Now, this is important for the school children, and then the school personnel, like as I told you, the teachers, attendants, the peons, they should also have a regular medical examination as well, so that if they have any problem, it should be sorted out. Now, the teachers, as they interact daily with the students, now daily monitoring of the student is usually carried out by the teacher. Now, if the child has fever, or the face is flushed, or he has some rash or spots, or he has a headache or any cold or any restlessness, or he's sleepy, or any complaining of some skin condition, etc., so the teacher is the first one to inspect that and report that. So daily monitoring of the child is properly done by the teachers. So the teachers should be trained, and they should have a short in-surface training courses about the daily monitoring of the child. The next aspect of the school health services is the remedial measures and the follow-up. Now, the medical examinations which are carried in the school are not an end in themselves. Now, they should be followed by appropriate treatment and follow-up. Now, special clinics should be set up for the children who are detected with some defects or some problems which should be dealt with. And the school should also have a proper record of these follow-up measures. Now, next important function is the prevention of the communicable diseases. Now, communicable diseases that can be controlled through immunization, and it's the most emphasized school health service function. Now, as you know, last year there was a measles epidemic, and the schools, especially the private schools, were giving a booster dose of measles to the younger children, but when proper permission was taken from the parents. So, immunization is the most emphasized school health service function, and the school should have a proper record of all the immunization which has been given to the children, and when the children leave the school health record should be handed over to them. Now, the next is the healthful school environment. Now, the school building, the site of the school, and the equipment are all part of the environment in which the child grows and develops. Now, a healthy school environment is important for the social, the personal health of the pupils, as well as their emotional health as well. So, the following minimum standards for sanitation of the school is suggested. Number one is the location of the school. Now, the school should normally be centrally located with the proper approach roads, and should be from a fair distance from very busy area. Now, the building of the school should be properly fenced. Now, the site of the school should be a highland area, should be taken for the building of the school, and it is recommended that 10 acres of land should be provided for higher elementary schools and at least 5 acres for primary schools, with an additional 1 acre of land per 100 students. So, usually this least amount of or the proper land should be provided for the building. But nowadays, as you can see, many private schools are being opened in very congested areas, which is not appropriate. Now, next is the structure. Now, it is recommended that all the nurseries and the secondary schools should be in the single storied, and their exterior wall should be having a proper minimum thickness of 10 inches and should be heat resistant. Now, next are your classrooms. Now, the classrooms should be attached with the verandas, and no classroom should accommodate more than 40 students. And the per capita space for students in a classroom should not be less than 10 square feet. And the furniture in the classroom is very important, as the furniture should suit the age group of the student, and it is desirable to provide a single desk and a chair for each student. Now, the three types of desks are used in the schools. Number one is the minus desk, number two is your zero desk, and number three is your plus desk. As you can see in the picture, number one is your plus desk. Now, if we vertically draw a line from the edge of the desk which falls outside the edge of the chair. So this vertical line which falls outside the edge of the chair, this is not appropriate, and this type of desk is called the plus desk, and this is not suitable. Now next is your zero desk. Now if we draw a vertical line from the edge of the desk which touches the edge of the seat, so this is also not an appropriate type of desk for the students. Now, third type, as you can see in the picture, are your minus desk. Now, if we draw a vertical line from the edge of the desk that falls on the center of the seat. Now, this type of desk is recommended for the students, as this type of desk can prevent the schools from having students from having certain deformities like scoliosis and kyphosis. So the arrangement of the desk is very important for the health of the student. Now sometimes in your vivas you are asked about the recommended sitting arrangement. So minus desk is the appropriate desk suitable for the students. Now, next are your doors and window. Now, the windows should be broad with the bottom sill at a height of 2 feet and 6 inches from the floor level, and there should be proper cross ventilation in the classrooms. Now the classroom should be painted white, and periodic whitewashing or periodic cleaning of the classroom is very important. Now coming to the lighting, the classroom should have a sufficient natural light, and preferably from the left side of the student, and should not be from the front. Next is your water supply. Now, every school should have an independent source of safe and potable water supply, which should be continuous and distributed from all the taps of the schools. Now, the eating facilities of the students which are provided in the school are very important, as the only those vendors which are approved by the school authorities should be allowed to provide food in the schools for the children, and the vendors from outside should not be encouraged. Now, coming to the lavatories and the washrooms, it is recommended that one urinal is recommended for 62 students, and one washroom for 100 students is required, and arrangements should be separately made for boys and girls. Now, all these recommendations are given by WHO, and you can get multiple MCQs questions on these small things.